a freshman English class. It's a mandatory class. And this session was on editing. And so what better way, right, to go over editing, but then to use authentic material from the students themselves. So in the class, every student is handed out a sheet with a collection of sentences, phrases that need to be edited. So the first example is read, and error class, and the whole class says it's a run-on. And then the next example is read, and error class, and it's like, it's a fragment. At this point, people are going, are these real? Okay. The third example begins, firstly, we need to examine, and the class erupts at firstly. And they're like, okay, no. These are not real, right? And if so, who wrote these? And how did they get here? And all of those were mine. And yeah, welcome to Duke. But it was a message for me that, man, the years of humiliation were about to continue to be, because that is what academia was for me. It was humiliation after humiliation after humiliation. And making mistakes is not humiliating. Failing might not be humiliating, but to work as sincerely and diligently and as hard as I worked, and I always failed. So, I just went up. Sorry. So, I learned to hide, right? I had to hide where I was stupid. And I was very good at many things, but I spent a lot of energy hiding my stupidness. And I'm going to tell you that in 8th grade, I had a biology teacher who announced, okay, this year, the science project that has the best chance of going to the state competition is Dawn's. And I didn't move in my chair, but everything dropped to the floor. And it really was a shame, because I was really interested in the acidity levels of orange juice and how it changed over time. And I had the jars in the living room, and I had the labels. But I knew what he didn't know, which was that something was going to fail here. I was going to fail. And, by announcing me, in a sense, he had raised the stakes so that all he did was make the distance to which I was going to fall higher. He was going to make the failure worse. And I sabotaged that project. To try and fail and try and fail, we love to hear, to have, it is better to have tried and failed than to not have tried at all. I'd like to know better than what, because it wasn't, right? You need a lot of successes to be a risk taker. But I had a lot of humiliations. So I had to hide. So I did graduate from Duke, barely. In fact, partway through the last semester at Duke, I got the letter that said, you will not graduate because you don't have enough credits. And I thought, fine, I'm done. I'm out. I can't do it. And a miracle happens here, which I'm not going to tell you about, but friends intervened and really pushed me to get it was like an extra study or whatever, independent study, something that I could get the grades. And lo and behold, I graduate. And in hindsight, going back to that English class, maybe it wasn't a good fit. Maybe it wasn't a good placement. Maybe I didn't belong. But I was riding the plane, leaving North Carolina, and the woman sitting next to me very exuberantly said, "Oh, that's wonderful, you've graduated, and are you going to go to grad school?" Yeah, you're right. Because I turned to her and I said, "I will never go to school again." Because I'm never going to let anybody humiliate me like this again. I'm done. I know, I'm a teacher. How did I cross that threshold again? Because you never say never, right? But by way of social justice and getting involved in a neighborhood youth and family services, which is kind of keep the kids out of the street in the Bronx, I ended up teaching, and even in a master's program. Hysterical. I feel so sorry for that counselor now to this day. But what began to happen was I understood the kids who struggled. Like, I just could understand them. One time, okay, teachers at a table, at the lunch table where the teachers all sit, teachers are frustrated, right? And one is complaining about this child and saying, he just says things to get attention. Like, for example, it was clear that the car was red, and I just asked the simple question, and he says, well, it's red and gray and black. And at the table, I went, I know what he saw, right? He flipped the car over. He saw the metal underneath, and he saw the tires, and he saw the red. But the problem is that he brought the whole car into reading, which is really what we want them to do, right? But it was really annoying for the teacher, right? But I thought, I get that. So I leave teaching again, and I come to Durham, North Carolina, and am hoping that I'm going to find something else to do. So there's this wonderful gathering of all of these organizations that are doing great things. And I sit in on one called the Augustine Literacy Project. And as I'm sitting there, I think, I've been after this thinking. This sounds like what I've been after. So I attend the training. And as they're going through, it's a very rigorous training. And as they're going through, doesn't know the alphabet, has malapropisms, mixes up numbers, mixes up homonyms, about the fourth day, I go, oh my God, I was dyslexic, not stupid. And from that point on, it was a miserable training for me. It was, all sorts of things that had been buried for so long were flashing up and from school. And I remember being pulled out of class for certain things. Particularly when I was very young, there was a woman, she was very nice, but she was determined to ruin my handwriting because she turned my paper. And I never saw her again, and she won because she got my paper to face this way. But I guess I used to write like this. In just that training, I suddenly came across the need not to hide anymore. It's important to name your demons, right? You need a name for it because once it had a name, It wasn't me. So I've discovered this late in life. So I want you to connect to why the Hill Center is so important. Okay. I'm sure I'm not the only one. But sometimes a lifetime isn't long enough to get over words spoken or events in your life. But it's okay. It's okay because it is precisely 16 years of humiliation that allows me to connect authentically with other children and really reach hard for them to communicate, I know how you feel. And when I say you are not stupid, I know what I'm talking about, right? So all this years of pain and humiliation have been woven into the fabric of what I do to bless others. And so I accept that, right? And I just put one foot in front of the other, and I keep going.
Dawn McClendon.